Hey Crestwood, happy Wednesday to all. Hope you all are doing well and enjoying the sunshine. I know that's done a lot for my soul to see the sun out again and to see things starting to melt and to feel the warmer temperatures. It gives me hope and reminds me that spring is indeed coming, even if it felt like the last few weeks spring had been canceled. It is coming, and God is present with us in those seasons to bring about new life for us, both meteorologically and spiritually. So I hope you're enjoying that as well. It's an honor for me to bring this devotional to you on this Wednesday, February 11th. I met with my spiritual director this morning. She is wonderful and always gives me new perspectives from which to see everything that's going on in my life, both personally and professionally. And we talked a lot today about silence and my reticence to embrace silence. I think my personality is such that I am always on the go. I'm an Enneagram 3, if you know what that means. I'm an extrovert. I'm always looking for connection, looking for conversations. Those are the things that feed my spirituality. I'm not a sit still kind of guy. And so we were talking about that and talking about where does silence fit into my life? And I realized it really doesn't. I don't allow much space for silence. And even now that I live alone, I have all the opportunities for silence, but I'm always filling it with something, a podcast or a TV show or a music or something. I'm not letting myself sit in that silence. And I kind of wrestled with why that was. What am I running from? I don't think I'm afraid of the silence. I don't think I'm scared of what God may say to me or what I may learn about myself. I think that it's that I'm fed through my connections. I'm fed through my conversations and my relationships. And so I just don't allow room for silence. And she asked me what would happen if I did. What might God say, or what might I experience if I was intentional about there being silence? You know, the Psalm says, "Be still and know that I am God." And I often add to that, "and you are not." Speaking to myself, right? It's really easy when you're not still to forget that just sometimes we need to let God be God. We just need to give God space to show up in our lives. God can't speak to us if we're too busy to listen. And I fully fall into that trap of not slowing down long enough to just listen if God's trying to say something to me. And I'm so glad to worship a patient God who will wait until there is that moment. You know, it's interesting. I think that's why in Scripture, God comes to people in dreams a lot, because during the day, they're not quiet enough to listen. They don't be still enough to listen. And so God comes to Jacob in a dream or comes to Joseph in a dream because that's the only chance they had to hear what God had to say. And so my spiritual director really encouraged me to try to build in time for silence in my day and to do it within the natural rhythm of my day, not to like stop and be like, okay, for 5 minutes, I'm going to be silent. But where would silence naturally fall in? Is it when you first wake up? Is it when you're about to go to sleep? Is it when you pause for a meal? Is it when you go for a walk? And so my question for you today is, where do you build silence into your day? And I mean intentional silence, not just the absence of noise, but where are you building in intentional silence to listen, to pray, to clear your mind as best you can of whatever distractions and thoughts and responsibilities sort of flood into it? Where are you allowing space just to be still? Because in the being still, that's when we are reminded that God is God and we are not. And so that's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to work on finding space for silence in my day. It's going to be a challenge. I don't do well with it. I don't sit still well. I don't follow that psalm well. So forcing myself to do that is going to be a really interesting exercise, but it makes me wonder, what's God got to say to me? What does God have to show me that I haven't allowed space for? And so I want to encourage you today to look for that space and to make that space in your life and to ask God to speak to you during that time. It may be that you don't hear anything for many, many times, but then God comes to you. And maybe for me, I need to be silent for a while before I can really be attuned to listening to God. I have to be mindful of not trying to accomplish something by being silent. I just have to be silent and trust that God is at work in that. And it is in the habit of being silent. It is in the routine of being silent. It is in the practice of being silent and listening for God that frequency tunes a little bit more and a little bit more until it tunes into God's voice and I'm able to fully hear that. So I'm going to do my best to be silent. Ask me how I'm doing if you want. I'll give you an update. But for now, I just want to encourage you, find time to be still and to listen for what God has to say. I trust God is always speaking. May we have the space to hear it as we cultivate silence in our lives. God bless you, Crestwood.